In this video, I'm going to show you how to add a vendor and extract line item information from a vendor invoice. The first step in setting up a vendor for line item invoices is to go to the top right, click Vendor Management. You'll see on the left there's a button to add a new vendor, which you'll click. Click the Upload Sample Invoice button to find an invoice with the vendor's invoice that you want to set up. And here you'll see the actual invoice. The first step is to find the vendor from the drop-down list. And you'll see that the vendor ID is already pre-populated. The next step is to find the logo. And it's easy just to click the yes. The invoice number. Now, if you're not happy with the placement of the invoice number or any of the boxes, you can easily click X and start again. The next would be the invoice date, the property address, the invoice terms. Now, if there are no invoice terms that are set up from the vendor itself, you can see here it's net 4. You can choose whatever you'd like. Let's just do upon receipt. Click next. So here's where it'll differ for finding an invoice with a total or a line item. And if you're looking for line items, in this case, you want to extract the different line items from here because you want to put them into different GLs. You would click the right button, select invoice. And the first step is to find the quantity. Now, some fields are optional and some are mandatory. The key here is not about putting the box around the name quantity. It's really about putting the box in the spot where the information flows. So, for example, if the information flows across the different boxes, you want to make the box bigger. So in here, what you see is the system is going to look for anything below this line and below this line. So setting up your invoices for line items is a little different. It's a little tricky, but you essentially just create a box. And now what's going to happen for quantity is anything below this right side and within the box on this left side are going to be extracted for line items. Same thing with description. The description box might only go to here, but in case sometimes there's larger descriptions, you can fill the whole box itself. Sometimes if it's not as clean and the description flows over to another box, you can extend that box beyond just the boxes that were set up in the table. In this case, we've got unit price here. Tax is optional. In this case, there are no there's no tax in the table itself. The tax is actually outside of the table in a total. So let's skip that. The column ID, item ID, in this case, we don't need the item ID to be extracted. We do not need the unit of measurement. We do not need the size unit. We do not need the unit case, so just skip those. But here we'd like to get the total. And you can see here, actually, this is a good example where the box for amount actually stops here and the numbers flow beyond that. So when setting up the total box for this invoice, you can actually just go outside of the amount as well. And the system will pick up anything underneath that box. And so you can see here, it's beyond the amount box because the actual information actually does flow a little bit, or at least is aligned with that amount box, but we want to make sure that we get everything. So we're going to go a little bit further beyond. And now here is the total tax, where it's optional, is you'll click here for total tax. And then you'll save the vendor. And that's it. You're now done. And so the system now will be able to extract line item amounts and descriptions from your invoice, and then you'll just set up the GLs for each of those line items. And the system will recognize and remember what you set up previously, and going forward, you won't have to enter in that GL as long as the description is the same for that item. Thank you very much.